So finding a seat and then just really feeling into the end of your exhale breath, how that feels in the nostrils or on the lips. And just really paying attention to the experience at the end of the breath. There's this giant construction project going on in this city. City might be a little bit aggressive. It's this little town. And they are building this massive state-of-the-art IMAX style theater. And the town is just elated. With your next exhale, let's let our chin turn over towards the left. Just feeling the cervical spine rotate. And then we'll inhale back to neutral. And we'll exhale over to the right. And inhaling back to neutral. Exhale, chin to the sternum. Inhale, chin to neutral. Inhale, chin to the ceiling or sky. Exhale to neutral. Let's transfer our weight onto our back. Maybe you give yourself a squeeze as you come in, but eventually we're going to want to get to the point where our knees are bent, feet are flat against the mat. And then just start to feel into the end of your exhale breath. Note where the lumbar spine is in comparison to the mat. And then at the end of your inhale breath, note where your lumbar spine is in comparison to the mat. We're just feeling the variance in lumbar spine kind of location through our breath, through our breathing cycle. Note on the inhale how that subtle arch of the lumbar spine, how your spine goes into that natural extension. And note how in the exhale, there's a natural neutralization of the lumbar spine. How the lumbar spine, if it's not pressing into the mat, it's certainly getting closer to the mat. And you can add, or you can accentuate that neutrality as you exhale by squeezing into the core. And so start to play with that ability to create a more neutral lumbar spine as you exhale. And then the next time that you inhale, as the curvature goes into extension, push down into the feet and just lift the belt line maybe an inch or two off the mat. So we get just a little bit of bridge. And then as you exhale, ground the spine, ground the lumbar, and create that full neutral engagement with a little core squeeze. Inhale, we lift. Maybe the hips come up 2 inches, 3 inches this time. Exhale, we release. And so as you inhale, we're going to add maybe an inch or two of lift. But each time we exhale, we want to fully find neutrality. So just continue to add height on the inhale. And continue to ground and fully land on the exhale. The next time you come to your lift into your little bridge here, let's just lock that out. Try to find neutral so that the anterior hip crease is flat and you have a neutral line or a single angle from the knee to the shoulder. And then let's just extend our arms overhead towards the space behind us, not towards the ceiling. A little glute squeeze to maintain that engagement. And then keep the arms where they are and exhale and think about pushing the sacrum down towards the heels, like you're trying to elongate the spine. And then relax your arms. We'll lift back up into a bridge. We get that locked out position. Single angle, roughly single angle from the knees to the shoulders. Glutes engage, arms reach overhead towards the space behind us, not towards the ceiling. And then we release the tailbone down towards the heels. All the way to a neutral lumbar spine. Relax the arms, and let's do that one more time. We'll inhale up. Glutes lock in, arms reach overhead. Exhale, tailbone down towards the heels. Relax the arms. Keep the left knee bent, but extend the right leg down the mat. Toes point towards the ceiling, heel lifted, maybe an inch or two. And then extend your arms towards that space behind you. Thumbs down, pinkies up. And then inhale and return the right foot to mirror the left and point the fingers towards the ceiling. Exhale, we'll extend the left leg. Both arms will reach towards that space behind us. Toes point towards the ceiling here, so heel flex maybe. And then inhale, we'll return. Exhale, right leg extends, fingers reach to the space behind you. Inhale to return. And exhale, left leg extends, fingers to the space behind you. And release. Hands relax. Go back to that awareness at the end of your respiration. So at the end of the exhale cycle, at the end of the inhale cycle, and just pay attention to how the lumbar spine is moving here. And then let's inhale. We'll lift the belt line back into our bridge. See if it feels possible for you to extend your left leg out at the same angle as your right, so that there's extension of the left leg, but the thighs are that same angle. And then release the left foot, mirror the right. Keep that neutral glute engagement, or enough glute engagement to keep the spine neutral. And then the right leg will extend, mirroring the same way. Just seeing if this is possible. If it's not, we stay in a traditional bridge. And then we release the right foot. Release the seat to the ground. Inhale, pull the thighs in towards the torso. Give yourself a nice little squeeze. And we'll release the feet back to the ground. All right, now we'll look to create a little bilateral lengthening. So we're gonna move opposite arms and legs. So let's just start by extending both arms towards the ceiling or sky. And then with an exhale, we're gonna extend the right arm towards the space behind us and the left leg towards the space in front of us. And then return to neutral. I'll do the same thing to the second side. So left arm and right foot. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, right arm, left foot. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, left arm, right foot. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, right arm, left foot. Stay here for a few cycles of breath. Really think about pushing the left heel and the right arm in opposite spatial distances. Trying to feel a bilateral expansion, kind of this fascial expansion from the left hip to the right shoulder. And then relax to neutral. And same thing to the second side. Left arm, right foot. Right heel pushes away, left arm reaches behind us. Feel that shoulder expansion, feel that hip expansion. And relax to neutral. Keep the arms towards the ceiling. And now let's see if it's possible to take the feet off of the mat, maybe an inch or two, so that we just get a little retraction of the thighs and we hover here. And then we're gonna go left foot, right hand. So left leg extends, right hand reaches behind you. Inhale to neutral. Left arm, right foot. Inhale to neutral. Left foot, right arm. Inhale to neutral. Left hand, right foot. Inhale to neutral. One more time for each side. Left foot, right arm. To neutral. Left arm, right foot. To neutral. Pull the thighs in towards the torso one more time. Give yourself that squeeze. And then maybe a little lateral rock. And then eventually we'll rock to one side or the other and make our way into tabletop. Finding our way up into a tabletop position, splaying the fingers out nice and wide, creating that big base strength. Curl your toes, lift your seat, find down dog. Pedal out the calves a little bit here, experience some length. Drive the hips into the space. Think about how the index finger mound and pinky finger mound are working to create this strength and stability. And then let's walk our way forward into into fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. And then we'll roll our way vertebrae by vertebrae up and into mountain. And in mountain, just reset. Create a little strength in your glute engagement. feel the feet and how they are resting, how they are actively engaging, let's say, with the mat instead of resting. We'll inhale and bring our hands together at heart center. Stay with the awareness on the feet. So really think about that big toe mound to pinky toe mound and splaying the toes out and being really actively engaged there. And then slide our left foot straight back into lunge. Just pay attention to how this lunge feels, how the hips feel, how much space you have here. Sweep the arms, we'll fully experience crescent. Push back into that left heel, get that energy there. Think about that nice neutral anterior posterior chain in the torso. Drop the hands and let's return to the front of the mat. When it feels appropriate, we're going to take this to side two. Right foot slides straight back. We land here. We develop the strength here. We push into that right heel here. Think about all of the hip engagement, where we have room, what feels tight. Sweep the arms. Find our way to crescent. Think about the toe mounds and the feet and how they're actively engaging in the mat. When you feel balance, right to left side, no rush to make that true, but when it does, let's drop the hands and step to the front of the mat. And then we're going to engage our ball. So with our ball, we're just going to take that underneath the right foot. And we're going to look to start just behind the toe mound on the right foot. So we want that ball to be just behind the toe mound, and we're going to roll it from lateral edge or medial edge to lateral edge to medial edge, and just work the foot back and forth across the ball. Now, if you just let your foot kind of just passively roll across the ball, we'll get a little benefit out of it. But if you splay the toes out while you're working here, we can really get in and create some space. So let's work on splaying the toes out as we work across this arch at that anterior attachment site. Pay attention to how this is feeling on the top side of the foot, how this is feeling throughout the duration of the arch, where on which side, the medial or lateral side, you're feeling the most sensation. And then we'll give ourselves about 20 more seconds here just to play across this arch. Goal's really going to be to create some space in the feet tonight. And when you feel ready, we're going to move from the front of the arch to the back of the arch. So now we're going just in front of the calcaneus bone on this rear attachment site, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to work across from the lateral to medial edge, medial to lateral edge. Same thing. Now we have the angle down on the toe mound, right? But we don't want the toes to just be passive. Try to spread them out and be really active here. On the heel side, you may need to put a little more energy into the quad to get into the musculature. Calcaneus bone, number one, it gets pretty stuck. It becomes pretty protective, but also it's built to take a lot of weight. And so you may need to be a little bit more engaged to really get into the tissue here. And we'll give ourselves just about 30 more seconds here on the back of the arch. Splaying the toes out, working and smearing across that attachment site. Last little bit of movement. And then when you're ready, let's put that ball to the side. And we're going to come back into mountain. And as you come into mountain, try to feel the variance right to left. Note that you likely have some asymmetry here, but you likely may be the wrong word. It's potentially possible that you also feel like you're more than just asymmetrical, like you're off kilter here. Squeeze the glutes and try to bring some stability back into the shape, and then slide your left foot straight back into lunge. As the left foot lands, think about the variance between the right and left foot. Sweep the arms to crescent. Drop the hands to heart center, and we'll step to the front of the mat. Oh, feel the room in the feet. Right foot slides straight back. As the right foot slides straight back, make sure you get into that heel enough that you get the quad to activate. We'll sweep the arms to fully express crescent. Feel the variance between the front and back foot. We'll drop the hands and return to mountain. And now we have to balance that out. So let's take our ball once again, and we'll take this over to the left foot. Gonna come at that front toe mound. We're gonna make sure that we activate the toes as we work across this arch. Really, a very short amount of time, right? But we're really trying to make as much impact as we can. So don't be scared to find spots that feel impactful and just work on spreading those toes out to become more and more engaged. We'll give ourselves just about 30 more seconds here on the front of the left foot. Easy to lose the toe engagement, so just kind of constantly reminding ourselves about the toe engagement. Last 10 seconds here. And when it feels appropriate, we'll move from the toe mound to the heel side of the foot, splaying the toes out still, and then starting that travel from medial to lateral edge, from lateral to medial edge. Remembering that we may need to add more pressure to get access to the tissue in the back of the foot. And that we're not going to be doing this for a long time, so that it's worth kind of digging in here to get the full impact. Easy to kind of shy away from this because it can be pretty intense. Last 20 seconds here. Any last little bits of movement. And then when you're ready, we'll set that ball to the side. And we'll find our way to the front of the mat for a mountain. And now as you get into mountain, both feet have their full space. Splay the toes out and feel really engaged with your mat. Feel the difference in how we can engage with our mat when we have room in our feet. And then let's slide the left foot straight back into lunge. Remember that you may need to get more activation in that heel to get the quad now that we have this extra space. Sweep the arms to crescent. Drop the hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Same thing to the second side. Right foot slides back. We just experience the space, the engagement, how actively we can be connected to our mat now. Sweep the arms to crescent. Drop the hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep both arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way back into down dog. Come down to hands and knees tabletop. And we'll sink our way back into child's pose. If you want, you can tuck the toes underneath you if you feel like you can do a little bit more work on the feet. So as this state-of-the-art IMAX theater is coming to this town, it's like bread is being invented. It's not just sliced bread, it's like bread is being invented in this town. People are over the moon. There has been no focus on entertainment in this town. And so the opening night to this theater, the opening week to this theater, the opening month to this theater, all of the tickets are sold out before it's even announced that what's going to be playing. It's such a big deal that the mayor of the town decides he's going to have a parade on grand opening day. We'll give ourselves just about 15 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, hands grip into the mat in front of us. We'll pull ourselves to hands and knees tabletop. Curl your toes, lift your seat, find your way into down dog. Push down into your index finger mounds. Get your hands splayed out wide. Match the space in your feet with your hands. And then let's walk our way forward into fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Roll or sweep your way up into mountain. Exhale in the hands together, heart center. Exhale, slide the left foot straight back and behind you. Ground the left heel and just roll your way open into warrior two. Blossoming those arms out wide. Thinking about that neutral line, middle of the body. Bend your right elbow, right forearm to right thigh. Left arm reaches straight up vertically for a shoulder stack. And then if it's accessible to you, take the left arm and reach that straight out towards the space in front of you, palms down, fingers still splayed out nice and wide. Draw yourself back up into warrior two. Lift the front toes and splay them out even wider. And then smooth back into that toe space, into that foot space. Take the space from the feet and just transmute it up into the shape. Left heel spins up into crescent. Push back into that left heel. Take the bend out of the back knee. And we'll drop the hands and step to the front of the mat. Right foot slides back into lunge. Ground your right heel, roll to two. Blossom into your two shape. Bend your left elbow, left forearm to left thigh. Right arm reaches straight up for the shoulder stack. And then if it's accessible, right hand reaches towards the space in front of you, palm down, fingers splayed out wide. Draw yourself back into two. Lift that left toe mound, splay the toes out wide and replant and re-blossom into that space. Right heel spins up, we're into crescent. Push all the way back into that back leg, capture that extra space. Drop your hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way back into down dog. Shift forward into plank and slowly, gently, delicately lower ourselves down to our belly. Squeeze our elbows in towards our rib cage. Flatten the tops of the feet into the mat. Splay the toes out as you flatten. And take the forehead and lift that maybe 2 or 3 inches off the mat. Make sure that your shoulders are down away from your ears as your elbows squeeze in. You can think about elbows squeezing down towards the edges of your hips. Make sure you can fully respirate here. We'll give ourselves just 20 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate, let's release our forehead. We can stack our hands for a little crocodile pose here. Let the shoulder girdle just relax. Think about what's going on in the feet still. Oftentimes, because this shape becomes super passive, the feet want to just kind of like curl back up into the shoe shape. See if you can keep a little activity between the toes to just press out against that shoe hoof. And so sure enough, opening night, there's a huge parade. The entirety of the town shows up. And it's just like, it's electric. It's electric in this town. People are so excited. That night, as the sun sets, the crowd starts to gather. There's a line around the block to get into this huge IMAX theater. It has the most state-of-the-art audio visual presentation possible. And the owner of this place, he is focused on providing the best entertainment not only this town has ever seen, but the world has ever seen. And when people are leaving the showing that night, it's universally agreed. It's beyond spectacular. People cannot believe this is possible. They're just blown away. We'll give ourselves just 15 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll slide our hands back underneath our shoulders, press ourselves up to hands and knees, tabletop. Get your fingers splayed out wide here, maybe a little sway through the hips. Let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and find our way into down dog. And then when it feels appropriate, we'll walk our way to the front of the mat. Inhaling into half lift. And exhaling back into fold. Drift your awareness to your sacrum. We'll roll or sweep our way up in a mountain. Inhaling air, hands together. At heart center. Splaying the toes out on the right foot, lift your left leg into a half Karate Kid. And really pay attention to where the weight is sitting in the right foot on the toe mounds. And then slide your left foot straight back into lunge. Sweep your arms into crescent. And now from crescent, we're gonna go to a full karate kid. So that means we're gonna step the left foot forward and we just end up in the crane. And then we'll slide the left foot straight back into crescent. Think about the right foot and how it is anchoring you, how it is rooted into the mat. One more time, we're gonna go to that full karate kid. And then dropping back into crescent. Grounding your left heel and rolling to 2. And then keeping a nice strong bend in that front leg. Let's head into a side angle. Think about stacking the shoulder structure here. Maybe you can even gaze up towards that left hand. And then we'll draw ourselves back into 2. Left heel spins upper into crescent. And we'll step forward into mountain. Back to a little awareness on potential bilateral asymmetry. Do we have more space now on the right side? Do we have more space on the left side? How does the balance of the weight distribution feel? And then when it feels appropriate for you, we're gonna slide our right foot straight back into lunge, sweep the arms into crescent. Make sure the toes on the left foot are splayed out wide. You're rooted and anchored in that left foot. And then we're gonna step into that full karate kid. And then we'll slide our right foot back into crescent. And then back into that karate kid. Into crescent. Ground your right heel and roll to 2. Keep the strength in that left leg as we drop into a little side angle. Stack the arms. Maybe we gaze up towards that right hand. We'll draw ourselves up into 2. Spin the right heel to crescent. Drop your hands, and we're gonna step into a half karate kid. Release the right foot. Relax the shoulder girdle. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way back into down dog. Come down to hands and knees tabletop. We'll flip the tops of the feet and sink our way back into child's pose. Just landing here, letting your body relax here. So after this opening night, the entirety of the town is just abuzz with love for this theater. The owner of the theater, comes in early the next day and he's just kind of working through all of the little notes he took and how he could make the experience better for the patrons. And he's up in the projection room and he's just kind of polishing the glass in front of the projector. And he sees that the exit door is ajar. And there's a beam of light coming in from the outside through that door. And it's like bisecting the theater. And he sees one row behind where the beam of light crosses. Someone's sitting in the theater. And he's like, I can't believe this. Part of him is terrified that they somehow forgot someone in the theater last night, that they had some type of medical event. And he knows they cleaned up. He knows it looks spotless, but he's baffled. He goes down, and it's this incredibly old woman. When it feels appropriate for you, as it feels appropriate for you, let's pull ourselves forward to tabletop, and we'll extend our legs straight out in front of us. The staff. As the legs extend, just follow them forward. Try to use the space you've created in the feet to find room in your fold. Remember that the knees can bend, that we want to find space. And so this woman is sitting just perfectly still. And he reaches out to touch her, just to make sure that she's okay. And he puts his hand on her shoulder, and she slowly turns her head and says, hello. And it's such a out of place reaction that he kind of stutters in his response. And eventually he kicks out like, the showing isn't until 8:30 tonight. It's 11:30 in the morning. And she says, oh, honey, I'm watching the show right now. And he rolls his eyes and he's like, oh, what are the odds that this crazy lady has made her way into my theater? And so he pulls out the program from his pocket and he puts it in front of her face and he says, you see right here, the show doesn't start until 8:30 tonight. And he puts his watch in front of her. He says, it's 11:30 in the morning right now. And she just raises her finger and points to the beam of light that's bisecting the theater room. And she says, that's the only show I need. And for a moment, the theater owner kind of focuses on the light, and he can, just for a brief fleeting moment, he can see the beauty in the dust that's kind of fluttering through this light. We'll give ourselves just 60 more seconds here. Last 20 seconds. When it feels appropriate for you, let's walk our spine back up to vertical, and we're going to release ourselves onto our back. Really allowing the spine to once again follow your breath. Feel the end of the inhale, how the lumbar spine responds, the end of the exhale, how the lumbar spine responds. Allow yourself the opportunity to compare and contrast how it felt the first time we were here. We'll give ourselves just about 20 more seconds just to experience this, just to feel into this. And when it feels appropriate, bring your knees to a bent position if they're not already. And then we'll add a little dynamic sway, just a little exploration of lateral rotation. And so the theater owner just kind of feeling sorry for this woman. Eventually says, okay, well, I'm going to let you stay here, but you have to leave before 12:30. I'm going to be running out to lunch then, and I need you to leave before then. She says, that's fine. Thank you. And so he goes back to kind of making the little tweaks and adjustments that he had laid out in his notes from the previous night. He comes back into the theater room at 12:30 and the exit door is closed and she's gone. And the rest of that day is just pretty chaotic. Maybe one more time to each side. Eventually bringing your knees back to neutral and asking yourself if there's anything that you might need, if there's anything that you might want prior to Shavasana. If there is, offering that to yourself now. Any last tweaks, any last adjustments, any last movement. And then when you feel ready, let's drop into a shape where we can appreciate some stillness. Just settling into your version of Shavasana. So that night, as the theater owner is setting up the projection for the show, he flicks on the projector and this beam of light shoots out, and it's projecting this, blockbuster smash hit on this IMAX screen. But he also sees the beam of light, and in the beam of light, he sees the dust dancing. And he tries to tune everything out and just watch the dust, and it's like 15 seconds before his mind just starts chaotically tumbling towards everything else. Just settling into your version of stillness here. So the rest of the night, this theater owner is thinking about how he couldn't stay still, couldn't stay focused on that beam of light. The next morning, when he comes in, the theater's empty. He goes up to the projection room, he turns the projector on, it shoots out that beam of light. Everything's silent now. And he looks in, and it's again like 10 to 15 seconds of just watching the dust tumble in this light before his mind starts to tumble, starts to divert to what he needs to do, starts to divert to where he should be. And then down in the theater room, the exit door cracks open and a beam of light shoots in. An old woman walks in and she sits down. Start to bring some movement into our fingers and our toes. To our wrists and our ankles. Elbows, knees, shoulders, hips, neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of the body will move, and we'll utilize that movement to transition into a seat. In the seated space, spine gets tall, breath gets fluid, eyes closed. And so he walks down from the projection room to the theater. He walks up to this old woman, taps her on the shoulder, and he says, "You know, I can't do what you do." And she looks back at him with no surprise at all and says, "I know. That's why you built this place." So our next inhale, we'll bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that the distractions we create are directly proportionate to the silence we can't take? And see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's practice and for being you. Namaste.